How could someone take a shower without closing the window? Pay attention to this cute pink-haired girl taking a shower in the room. Maybe I was too excited about washing. She didn't notice at all that the window in the room was open. And at the same time, a strange man secretly climbed onto the roof opposite. It looks like this man is painting. And the content of the painting is nothing else. It's the cute girl in the room. The man who is painting is named Cyan. It is the legendary Tianming Pavilion world honored by thousands of people. The girl in the room is named Su Tao. She is Cyan's new female disciple. At this time, the lovely Su Tao still doesn't know. His master Si Yen is actually a super pervert worthy of the name. Before that, there used to be dozens of female disciples in Tianming Pavilion. As a result, Master's 4 words are too perverted. The female disciples really couldn't stand it anymore. They all chose to run away. But even so, after 4 words, I still don't know how to restrain myself. In order to satisfy one's own selfish desires, he actually let his female disciples wear Taoist uniforms customized by himself. Of course, there's no big problem with this uniform. It's just that the skirt is a little short, and the socks are a little bit long. Female disciple Tao 1 also felt that this outfit was a bit embarrassing. But when I thought that these were clothes made by Master himself, naturally, Tao can't live up to Master's kindness. However, the more extreme thing is yet to come. This evening, Tao just finished taking a bath. Then suddenly I heard someone knocking at the door. This person is like a peach. Grow pink hair. That's right, he is Tao's brother Su Gongzi. Because I can't worry about my biological sister. Mr. Su has been staying with Tao during this period. And the reason why he came to Tao so late, it's because he sensed that this sect was a bit unorthodox. Such a big sect. There isn't a single female disciple inside. Forget it if you have it. Why are there not even any male disciples? Master Cyan is probably the only one in this co-authoring sect. Something is wrong, absolutely something is wrong. There is definitely something wrong with this sect. So Mr. Su planned to take his sister and leave here. But at this moment, Cyan suddenly pushed the door open and entered. He heard the conversation between the two just now. At this time Cyan thought, I finally found such a beautiful female disciple. We absolutely can't let him go like this. So Cyan told Mr. Su, because our sect's requirements for recruiting disciples are relatively high. So there are indeed a few people. But don't worry, tomorrow I will take you to see other disciples. Sure enough, the next day arrived. Cyan took the 2 of them to the back hill of Tianming Pavilion. But Mr. Su always feels that this place is a bit strange. The words have not yet fallen. Suddenly there was a strange sound in the grass nearby. The 2 of them were just about to move over to check. As a result, a strange figure suddenly emerged from the grass. This guy climbed onto the book as fast as a monkey. Mr. Su thought there was danger. Without saying anything, he held the knife in front of Tao. But Fourth Master told them not to be afraid. This strange guy is his second brother. I heard it was my future senior brother Tao Mei. Then he took the initiative to say hello. But when the other party saw that Tao Mei was a woman, he actually let out a scream. Then he left as quickly as if he was running for his life. Seeing this, Cyan told the 2 of them. This second disciple of his went down the mountain to wander around some time ago. As a result, he was captured by the enchantress from the Zun sect and made into a slave. 200 pounds when walking. When I came back, I only weighed 100 pounds. Since then, the second disciple had a shadow in his heart. I get scared when I see a woman approaching. When I think of this, Fourth Master was so angry that he was shaking. Alas, why in the beginning? It wasn't me who was taken away. I also want to experience the feeling of being ravaged by a witch. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's keep going inside. The next disciple is even more heavyweight. The 2 of them looked in the direction pointed by the private message. I unexpectedly found a pretty girl playing the piano by the lake. This woman exudes an aura of nobility and elegance in every move she makes. An inadvertent look back. It directly penetrated Mr. Su's heart. Mr. Su is in love at this moment. This person is Lanner, Cyan's 3rd disciple. But then again, didn't it say that there are no female disciples in Tianming Pavilion? So what's going on with Lanner? Holy shit, this is definitely the most outrageous sect I've ever seen. Up to Master, down to the disciples. There is simply no one who is normal, especially Master Cyan. Definitely a super pervert. The figures peeping from the window while the female disciples were sleeping, and their frequent and mysterious disappearances inside. They all have something to do with Master Cyan and his disciples. They are also weird. First of all, the second disciple Yushin Dao. I thought he had unparalleled martial arts skills. I didn't expect that I would be captured by a demon sect girl just 1 year after I came down from the mountain. He was directly treated as the top of the skull by the witch and was trampled on the bones crazily. When he first came down the mountain, he weighed more than 200 pounds. Now he is squeezed alive until he weighs less than 100 kilograms. And the third disciple by Lan. It is also a heavyweight with concentrated weight. Even though he has the appearance of a fish that sinks into the sea and a goose behind the moon is ashamed of the flowers. But don't be deceived by his appearance. This guy is actually a man. She looks more delicate. It's also understandable. But the key thing is that this guy actually likes to wear women's clothes. And the most terrifying thing is, once he is allowed to wear women's clothes as he wishes, then the whole world will usher in a disaster. This sentence is not an exaggeration at all. You will know later. Last time we talked about, Master Cyan spent all his efforts, finally recruited a beautiful female apprentice Su Tao. In order to reassure Su Tao's brother, Cyan took them to get to know the other brothers in the sect. However, when Su Tao's brother saw his third disciple Bailan, an accident happened. Because Bailan is so beautiful. As a straight man, Brother Tao couldn't help but fall in love with him. Not only Brother Tao is deeply involved, even Su Tao was full of praise for this senior sister's appearance. But Cyan was a little embarrassed to tell them about this person. Actually, she's not your senior sister, but your senior brother. Upon hearing this, the two brothers and sister were stunned on the spot for a moment. Brother Tao even suffered a cardiac arrest on the spot. I can't believe that I just fell in love with a man. After trying to stabilize my mood, Brother Tao cited physical discomfort as an excuse. After a hasty farewell, then he and Tao Mei temporarily returned to the room. It seems that this blow to him is indeed not small. Wait until the two of them leave. Cyan's face turned dark instantly. I saw him pressing Bailan's chin. I'm warning you one last time. Never wear women's clothing in front of Tao, in case your true nature is exposed. Scared Tao, see if I don't knock your ass over. After warning Bailan, Cyan turned around and left without looking back. Time soon came to the next day. Starting from today, Cyan is about to start teaching Tao the skills. But before we start, the old pervert Cyan started to act inappropriate again. He used Tao's inappropriate clothes as an excuse. I plan to tidy up Tao Mei's clothes myself. But little does he know the other side at this time, because Brother Tao is still a little worried about Tao. So he decided to go in and take a look inside. But just when Brother Tao was about to push the door open and enter, Bailan suddenly appeared behind him. In fact, Fourth Master had already told Bailan, ask him to get rid of Brother Tao tomorrow. So Bailan planned to use a beauty trick to hold him back. Although Brother Tao knows that Bailan is a boy, but he is so handsome. I can't control myself at all. And Bailan is a man. He simply understands a man's heart so well. So he first thoughtfully took out his handkerchief to help Brother Tao wipe his sweat. Then when the wind blows, Bailan deliberately let go of her hand again. Watching the handkerchief blow away in the wind, Brother Tao really can't hold himself back. I saw him rushing forward with a single stride. I grabbed the handkerchief that was blown away by the wind. At this time, Brother Tao thought he was very handsome. But little did he know that he had been completely manipulated by Bailan. In this way, Brother Tao is like an obedient puppy. Picking up the handkerchief Bailan deliberately threw away over and over again. Soon Brother Tao also realized that something was wrong. What happened to me? To be manipulated by a man. Looking at the handkerchief on the ground, he told himself over and over again not to pick it up again. Even so, but he still couldn't control his body. After picking up the handkerchief on the ground again, Brother Tao is deeply aware of, this man is absolutely terrifying. Mom, I want to go home. After saying that, Brother Tao grabbed the handkerchief and left without looking back. This is definitely the most thrifty Buddha I have ever seen. To save fabric, Cyan actually changed all the female disciples' Taoist uniforms into miniskirts. Not only that, Shurzuan Cyan is also a person who pays great attention to details. Whenever I see a female disciple's clothes disheveled, Cyan will also personally help your disciple organize his clothes. Of course, in the process of sorting out, there will inevitably be some small physical contact. However, our Master Cyan has always treated his disciples as family members. It's like a prosperous marriage between men and women without being intimate. Of course, there is no need to care and although our Master Cyan doesn't look too serious, but the strength cannot be underestimated. Under his guidance, his disciple Tao's skills also improved rapidly. After tasting the sweetness, Tao Yi also made up his mind to stay in Tianming Pavilion, officially apprenticed to Si Yen. But I have only lived independently in Tianming Pavilion for 2 days. Tao Mei encountered a very serious problem. After all, he is the child of a wealthy family. Chores like laundry are left to the servants. As a result, Tao Mei can't even wash her clothes now. But at this moment, the old pervert is wrong. Master Cyan suddenly appeared behind Tao. When I learned that Tao didn't even know how to wash clothes, Cyan's eyes suddenly lit up. The opportunity has come. After saying that, I saw him taking off his coat. Roll up your sleeves and help Tao wash clothes with your own hands. Superficially, Cyan is teaching Tao to wash clothes. But no. These are all the intimate clothes that Tao just changed into. The real purpose of veteran driver Cyan is to take the opportunity to taste the direction. This is not over yet. After helping Tao wash the clothes, Cyan also invited Tao to go to his room alone. After all, the teacher's room is quite big. Upon hearing this, Tao couldn't hold himself any longer. It was difficult for Tao not to think too much along the way. Two single men and women living together in the same room. Could it be that the master wants to do something more intimate with her? With a nervous heart, Tao entered the master's room. Master Cyan was straightforward as always. He gently patted the bed. He motioned for Tao to come closer. At this moment, Tao was certain the master was trying to seduce him. Blushing, Tao shouted at Cyan, "This is not allowed. Master, that kind of thing can only be done after marriage." As soon as those words were spoken, the atmosphere instantly plunged into awkwardness. Cyan pointed to the paper and pen on the table and said, What are you thinking? All I wanted was to draw a portrait of you." Upon hearing this, Hao Mei was instantly frozen in embarrassment. Am I really just overthinking it? Could it be that my master is actually a gentleman? In the next moment, Tao Mei was once again stunned, because Master Siyuan had him pose in a strange way. Although I can't quite say what's strange about it, it still feels a bit embarrassing. At the same time, Tao also noticed other portraits on the wall. It was clear that Cyan had already painted female disciples before. What left the deepest impression on Tao was a red-haired girl. This girl's name was Yan Yan. She was indeed once a disciple of Cyan, but later, Yan Yan just couldn't stand Cyan's perverse nature anymore, so she decisively left Tianming Pavilion. In the end, even after trying desperately, Cyan couldn't keep her. After painting the portrait of the Peach Blossom King, Cyan decided to take Tao down the mountain to visit the city. At the same time, to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings, Cyan also brought along the second disciple, Bailan. However, as soon as they arrived in the city, the sensible Bailan left the two, using booking a room as an excuse. This successfully created an opportunity for Cyan and Tao to be alone. Just when Cyan thought they could have a date with Tao, several unexpected guests suddenly blocked their path. What mistake did the second disciple, Bailan, make? He was getting spanked by the usually good-tempered master. Si Yen showed no restraint at all. He spanked Bailan so hard that he screamed out loud. Wu Chen next door even exclaimed, "What an expert." The female disciple Tao Mei wanted to intervene, but to her surprise, the master didn't listen. Instead, it got even worse. You might not believe it when I say this, but the reason why our usually good-tempered master got so furious was actually all because of a rather improper set of women's clothing. What exactly is going on here? Last time, we mentioned that Master Siyuan initially planned to have a date with Tao Mei, but on the way, they were stopped by a few thugs. Just by looking at their lewd expressions, you can tell this bunch of guys is definitely not good people. Sure enough, they see Tao Mei's tall figure, her charming looks, and they actually start to harass her with filthy language. On the side, my master, Si Yen, instantly fumes with rage, daring to flirt with my disciple. Then don't blame me for giving you a little lesson. After speaking, Siyuan gently flicked her fingers. I'm not a petty person. As long as you leave your heads behind, I can forgive you. However, just when Siyuan was about to act, the second disciple, Bailan, suddenly appeared and stopped her. Without saying a word, he grabbed Siyuan and Tao Mei and tried to flee. Do you think Bailan is afraid? Actually, it wasn't, because Bairan deliberately revealed their next move when he escaped. Just as Bairan had planned, those brainless fools fell for it. The next day, the master and his two disciples arrived at Shunlai Valley early. Thanks to Bairan's top-notch cooking skills, the three of them enjoyed a hearty meal in Shunlai Valley. But right after the meal, Cyan accidentally discovered something strange in Bailan's package. She opened it to take a look, and found that it was actually a set of women's clothing. Let me explain to the new viewers first. Although Bailan looks quite beautiful and delicate, he is actually a man, and he especially likes wearing women's clothes. But Cyan knows this better than anyone. What if this guy wears women's clothes? The consequences will be very serious. So, even though Bailan promised Master that he would only look and not wear, and begged Master to leave him 2 pieces, Si Yen was ruthless. She directly threw the entire package filled with women's clothes down the mountain. Before long, it happened just as Si Yen and Bailan had predicted. Sure enough, those clueless fools showed up last night. But what they didn't expect was, they actually picked up a very familiar package. After seeing the package, Cyan's face suddenly changed. Sure enough, it contained the women's clothes Cyan had just thrown away. It's over, this is beyond embarrassing. The punks saw this and mocked them, saying 2 grown men secretly wearing women's clothes. Peach girl, oh Peach girl, what kind of freaks are your master and senior brother? Just as those words were spoken, Bailan came in with a flying kick. Before anyone could see his movements, the leading person was already kicked several meters away. Then, in front of everyone, Bailan took off his jacket. Who says men can't wear women's clothes? After speaking, Bailan put on the women's clothes in front of everyone. When they saw Bailan in women's clothes, one of the bearded men seemed to remember something. Suddenly, he shouted in panic, how can this be? How can it be him? Didn't he die a long time ago? But before he could finish his sentence, Bailan struck with his knife, took down the bearded guy's head. At this moment, Byran seemed like a different person, with blood splattered around. Byron's eyes were full of violent killing intent. Terrified, 4 eyes quickly covered Taomei's eyes. The upcoming scene was too bloody. Taomei absolutely couldn't see it. Sure enough, less than half a minute had passed. Everyone present had already fallen under Byron's sword. This scene reminded Cyan of decades ago, when Byron first dressed as a woman and descended the mountain. She stirred up a bloody storm across the entire cultivation world, prompting the 3 great sects of the time to launch an all-out attack on her. Luckily, her first disciple, Juanheng, intervened and managed to save Byron. To avoid a repeat of that situation, the world-honored one, Si Yen, certainly had to give Xia Bailan a good lesson. Thus, the opening scene came to be. In the end, after several rounds of interrogation from Si Yen, Bailan finally obediently changed back into male clothing. Last time we mentioned, the world-honored one, Si Yen, after thoroughly spanking Bailan's behind, Bailan ultimately put on male clothing obediently. Sure enough, after Bailan put on a man's clothes, she instantly transformed from a ruthless female demon into a refined scholar. Even so, the image of Master spanking her is still deeply etched in Tao Mei's mind. Deep down in Tao Mei's heart, he actually wants to be spanked by Master too. Goodness, Tao Mei, oh Tao Mei, I didn't expect that beneath your naive exterior, there's actually a little wild beast hidden inside. That day, Tao Mei accidentally made a small mistake during training. Before Master Si Yen could say anything, Tao Mei voluntarily laid down on the table. The meaning was clear. She wanted Master to spank her hard. Punishment was imminent. Si Yen was completely tense. At this moment, he was overjoyed. Since Tao Mei said so, how could I, as your teacher, stand by and do nothing? In a flash, just as Si Yen raised her hand into the air and was about to strike Tao Mei hard, there was suddenly a rustle from the nearby bushes. Cyan turned around and saw that it was actually her 3 disciples peeking nearby. The scene shifted. The 3 peeping disciples had already been thoroughly taught a lesson by Cyan. Hey, you all ruined my good fortune. But since you're all here, let's take the opportunity to show Tao Mei your skills. Let her learn well, too. Since Master has already spoken, we disciples dare not slack off. The first to demonstrate is the second disciple, Bailan. Although Bailan is male, his sword intent is remarkably delicate and graceful. With a mere raise of his hand, the sword energy soars to the heavens, parting the clouds to reveal the sun. Such ethereal and beautiful sword energy. Tao, standing by, was completely dumbfounded. The next one to showcase his skills is the eldest disciple, Juanheng. As the eldest disciple of Cyan, Juanheng is also known as the Sword God. His techniques are not bound to any weapon. He can focus his energy with just a flick of his fingers throughout the land. His power is second only to Master Zunyan. However, his only flaw is that he loves to show off. He just likes to show off. He barely acted normal for a bit. And now Juanheng is back to dancing around, showing off again. Look at Cyan's disgusted face. You can tell this bad habit is never going away. And the last one to appear is the third brother, Yushandeo. Because of some bad experiences, Yushandeo developed a severe gynophobia, but the woman didn't affect his sword drawing speed. In the blink of an eye, the chill from his slash shot straight into the overcast sky. In an instant, it parted the clouds, revealing the sun once more. After a few disciples finished performing, the master privately told Tao Mei, just follow my teachings and train diligently. In the future, you will surely be able to follow in your senior brother's footsteps. But before that, you need to have your own destined sword first. Then the scene changes, and the master takes Tao Mei to a strange place. I wonder if everyone has noticed. The women here either have furry ears, or have long tails. Some even have the appearance of beasts with human bodies. Who exactly are these women? And why did Cyan bring Tao Mei here? Let's find out in the next episode. What kind of drug have these demon women taken? Each one is pouncing on our master Cyan like a ravenous tiger. At first, Cyan seemed to be enjoying it, but then several more demon women leapt at him. Goodness, if this keeps going, Cyan might not even be able to get out of bed the next day. As for why this happened, we have to go back to the previous episode. In the last episode, we mentioned that in order to find Tao Mei's destined weapon, Cyan brought Tao Mei to a strange place. As you can see, the girls here all have some animal traits. Some even directly have thin faces and human-like bodies. Although they look a bit strange, there are still men who like this type. And coincidentally, these demon women also need men's essence for their cultivation. Thus, Shadow City was born. Now, here's the question. Weren't we supposed to find Tao Mei a life-bound sword? How could I come to a place like this? Could it be that Master likes this type of woman? Upon hearing this, Si Yen was instantly frightened and broke out in a cold sweat. Looking at this awkward expression, it's clear that Master Si Yen definitely has some peculiar preferences. However, Si Yen quickly put on a very upright demeanor. He told Tao Mei that the city lord here is an old friend of mine. I heard he recently acquired a piece of 1,000-year-old cloud iron. It should be just right for forging your sword. I came here specifically for this matter. Tao, you mustn't misunderstand me. I don't know if you all believe this, but Tao Mei truly believes it. However, there are others who came for this piece of 1,000-year-old cloud iron as well. The woman in green before us is named Cheng Yilan. From what he said and implied, we can tell that he also came for this 1,000-year-old cloud boat. But just then, Cyan and Tao Mei happened to walk past him. Before the people around could react, Cheng Yilan suddenly rushed towards the two of them. Her target was Tao Mei, who was beside Cyan. By the time Tao Mei realized what was happening, Cheng Yilan had already come in front of him. Without saying a word, she pulled him into her embrace. Si Yen, who was beside them, had already noticed he meant no harm, so she didn't intervene. It turned out that the woman named Cheng Yilan was actually Tao Mei's cousin. This cousin could be considered a protective fanatic. As soon as she saw Si Yen holding hands with Tao Mei, she immediately pulled them apart. She even cursed Cyan, calling her an old pervert. Cyan thought, although it's true that I am an old pervert, you can't just say it out loud in public like that. Don't I have any dignity? Tao Mei, who was beside them, wanted to explain for her master, but the cousin wouldn't listen. Instead, she grabbed Tao Mei's hair tuft and shouted, "Look at the monsters around here. How could any normal person come to such a creepy place?" In the end, after Si Yan's explanation, the cousin reluctantly believed that Si Yan was Tao's master. But even so, just to be safe, he still planned to take Tao away tonight. He absolutely couldn't let Tao spend the night with that old rogue. Poor Si Yen had thought she could go on a date with Tao, but now that's all gone. But just after Tao Mei and her cousin left, a courtesan from a brothel suddenly threw herself into Cyan's arms. At the same time, in a seductive tone, she said, "Sir, would you like to stay at our place for the night? I promise you'll be satisfied." Before she could finish, another courtesan appeared. "Sir, why not come and check out our place instead? The beds in our shop are quite large." In no time, a swarm of demon girls surrounded Cyan. At that moment, Cyan thought, "Wow, this place is heaven." But little did she know, a familiar figure was watching her from upstairs. It was none other than her second disciple, Bailan. All the brothels in Yongla City are under the control of Bailan. In order to catch Master Si Yan's weakness, Bailan gave the order. She directly summoned all the top courtesans in the brothels. They are determined to capture Si Yan, to seize Master's weakness. Meanwhile, on Si Yan's side, just the group of seductive women in front of him is already overwhelming. But looking back, several tall demonesses wanted to join in. This time, Cyan is really in for it. This is definitely the most considerate disciple I've ever seen. After learning that her master had been lonely for many years, the second disciple, Bairan, immediately rallied all the demonesses. They planned to properly take care of Cyan tonight. At this moment, completely unaware, Cyan thought she was just lucky in love. So many beautiful girls made it impossible for him to resist. But gradually, Siyuan noticed that something was off. These women were fighting over her, and were even willing to brawl. Some even ended up wrestling with each other. Dressed in disarray, Siyuan quickly took the chance to escape. As the saying goes, where there's an abnormal situation, there's something fishy. These women are acting so strangely. There must be something going on behind the scenes. Just then, a familiar voice suddenly came from beside her. Si Yen looked up and saw that it was her fourth disciple, Tao Mei, from upstairs. Tao Mei had seen everything that just happened. To avoid misunderstanding Tao Mei, Si Yen could only lie, saying she had no place to go, and was being pestered by those witches. But unexpectedly, after hearing that her master couldn't find an inn for the night, Tao Mei actually offered her master to stay in his room for the night. Upon hearing this, Master Siyue was completely unsettled. He hurriedly looked around. They discovered that there was only one bed in the entire room. If that's the case, won't that corpse finally be able to share a bed with Tao Mei? But he's her disciple. Isn't this a bit too exciting? Cyan initially wanted to pretend to be reserved, but who would have thought that Tao Mei insisted on leaving Zun for the night? Watching the adorable Tao Mei continuously invite her, Si Yan's heart fell into turmoil. His mind kept telling him to hold back. After all, she is his disciple. He shouldn't be like this at his age. It's unclear how long Si Yan struggled internally. Then the scene shifted. As expected, Si Yan did not disappoint everyone. Desire ultimately triumphed over reason. Seeing Tao, who was sleeping peacefully beside him, Si Yan couldn't stay calm anymore. Since things had already reached this point, it wouldn't make sense not to do something, right? But after thinking it over, Si Yan still decided he should hold back a little. But just as he turned around, ready to sleep quietly. Tao Mei's arm unexpectedly reached out. Her delicate little hand was exploring back and forth on Si Yan's body. Once again, Si Yan couldn't stay calm. At that moment, Si Yan thought, I've worked so hard to build this relationship with Tao for so long. Today, I will finally be rewarded. However, just as the other person started to speak, Si Yan suddenly froze. Why does this voice not sound like Tao Mei's? Damn, how could this be Tao Mei's cousin? It looks like this cousin has had too much to drink. As a result, she mistook Si Yan for Tao Mei. Now Si Yan is completely dumbfounded. We also mentioned this in the last episode. This cousin suspected that Si Yan was a pervert, which is why she took Tao Mei away from Si Yan. Although Cyan is indeed a bit of a pervert. If my cousin finds out I ended up in Tao Mei's bed, then I'm finished. At that moment, Cyan could only endure the itching and dared not make a sound, for fear of raising her cousin's suspicion. But before she could finish speaking, her cousin suddenly yanked the blanket off Cyan, and shouted, "Watch out." After saying, "I'll tickle you," my cousin suddenly reached for Siyuan's chest. However, this move instantly made the situation awkward. At the same time, behind my cousin, there was the sound of Tao Mei talking in her sleep. Now Siyuan was completely exposed. In a moment of panic, Cyan still hoped to explain things to her cousin, but without saying a word, her cousin immediately drew out her weapon. She swung it fiercely towards Cyan's groin. Fortunately, Cyan reacted in time. Otherwise, if that blade struck, she might have been left without descendants. Seeing the situation was dire, Cyan immediately jumped out the window and fled without a word. Before leaving, he didn't forget to grab his jacket. Well, that's it. Looks like Cyan is spending the night on the streets. In the dead of night, Cyan acted like a thief, sneakily hiding on the street, afraid that those ravenous demon women might come after him again. But just at this moment, a familiar figure suddenly caught his attention. Isn't that his third disciple, Yushin Dao? What is he doing in a place like this? Previously on the show, the second disciple, Bailan, in order to get dirt on Master Cyan, actually sent a large group of demon women to seduce Cyan. The unsuspecting Cyan almost fell for the trap, although in the end, Si Yan still managed to preserve her chastity and escaped from the demoness' grasp. Tonight she was destined to sleep on the streets. However, at that moment, fourth master spotted a familiar figure in front of the brothel. This person was his third disciple. It's quite strange indeed. Isn't this guy suffering from severe phobias? What was she thinking, coming to a brothel to seek death? I went up to ask her. Only then did I find out that it was the second disciple, Bailan, who tricked her into coming here. And I learned from the Yushin blade. All the brothels here are properties under Bailan's control. Now, Siyuan finally understood. No wonder. That group of seductive women clung to her like they were on something. So it turns out that the second disciple, Bailan, is setting herself up. But this is just the beginning. Bailan's real scheme to trap her master is yet to come. Do you remember that group of small-time thugs Bailan killed after her rampage in women's clothing last time? That group was actually made up of disciples from the Luoqing sect. The kid who led them was the son of Luo Qingyun, the legendary leader of the Luoqing sect. His son is dead. How could a father just sit by and do nothing? Under the guidance of a mysterious figure, Luo Qingyun found his son's corpse. He learned from that mysterious person that a guy named Siyuan killed his son. Upon hearing this name, the fire of revenge surged in his heart. This time, Siyuan is truly in big trouble, and the mysterious person who informed on him turns out to be Cyan's top disciple. What a move by Juanheng. None of Cyan's disciples are easy to deal with. Meanwhile, Cyan, completely unaware, is helping Tao Mei search for her life-bound sword. She arrives at a stage already prepared for a duel. As long as Cyan can win this match, the Millennium Cloud Iron, perfect for forging a sword for Peach Sister, belongs to him. And his opponent is the young man with green hair on stage right now. The young man is indeed worthy of being the #1 young swordsman. Before this, several heroes have already fallen at his feet. After several rounds of competition, the young man hasn't even broken a sweat. However, just as Cyan was about to enter the ring, something unexpected happened. Suddenly, a loud explosion was heard from behind the ring. In an instant, the entire ring was engulfed in dust. When the smoke cleared, standing before everyone was none other than Luo Qingyun, seeking revenge on Cyan. As soon as they saw him, the audience was left in shock. What wind has blown the head of the Luoqing sect all the way here? Even the incredibly imposing young Master Nan just now had to bow and greet him immediately upon seeing him. But Luo Qingyun didn't even care about him. He slapped him across the face without hesitation, leaving him disfigured. He has only one goal on this trip: to kill Cyan, to take revenge for his son. Before the words were out, everyone's gaze turned to Siyuan in the audience. They couldn't believe it. This seemingly frail guy actually got involved with Luo Qingyun. It must be known that Luo Qingyun possesses the power of half a deity. Isn't this guy looking for death? Before the words were out, driven by a thirst for revenge, Luo Qingyun showed no mercy. Right from the start, he unleashed all his true energy. He summoned a massive spectral form. With this strike, anyone in its path would be obliterated, body and soul. Just when everyone thought the outcome was certain, upon closer look, they saw that Cyan had blocked Luo Qingyun's full-powered attack with just one finger. This isn't over yet. Cyan only moved her fingers slightly, and it caused Luo Qingyun's primordial spirit to shatter into pieces. Only then did Luo Qingyun realize that this guy was just pretending to be weak to catch him off guard. This person's realm is at least above that of a human, but now it's too late to realize. It was just a simple move from Cyan when she raised her hand. Luo Qingyun had no chance to resist at all. In an instant, she was already lying at Cyan's feet. After she fell to the ground, a familiar figure appeared before her. Luo Qingyun looked closely. Isn't this the person who tipped me off last night? So, you were in cahoots with them all along. At the same time, the second disciple, Bailan, and the third disciple, Yushandeo, have already blocked his way. At that moment, the four strongest fighters were gathered together. Now, no one could save him. Although Master appeared to be above everyone else, the Master of the Ming Pavilion actually liked to sneak up to the roof in the middle of the night. He took the opportunity to secretly watch the female disciples bathe. And just watching wasn't enough for him. Cyan even wants to draw this scene. To be honest, Cyan's drawing skills are actually pretty good. But although Cyan isn't exactly a serious person, and even has some perverted tendencies, his skills are indeed worthy of the title of master. In the last episode, facing the head of the Luoqing sect, Si Yen, who came to seek revenge. From start to finish, he effortlessly defeated Luo Qingnu, who was half a step into the deity realm, without even breaking a sweat. This scared the people who had previously underestimated Fourth Master. They feared that Fourth Master would take his anger out on them. One of them even knelt in front of Fourth Master with a thud. This person's name was Yang Mingqing. He was the renowned leader of the Seven Blades sect. He claimed that there were 23 beautiful young ladies in his manor. Among them, there were even 8 cooks. As long as Cyan spares him, he's willing to give up all these concubines. Hearing this, the old rascal Cyan instantly couldn't stay calm. Well, since Master Yang is so generous, I won't be polite then. However, just as the words left her mouth, Cyan's beloved disciple, Tao Mei, suddenly stepped forward. He stated that his master is a gentleman of unparalleled virtue. How could he covet the cosmetics from your house? After speaking, Hao Mei glared fiercely at Si Yen. Don't you think so, my master Hao? As soon as this was said, Si Yen was instantly scared to a sweat. Yes, my good disciple is right. Although Si Yuan said it didn't matter. When she thought about losing 23 beautiful young ladies, she couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. Just then, her second disciple, Bailan, suddenly stepped forward. He knew that Master Si Yuan had a weakness for this, so he decided to accept these 23 concubines on her behalf. As expected, her second disciple, Bailan, understood how to care for his master. Take what should be taken, grab what should be grabbed. After everything was finished, the 5 master and disciples were finally ready to head home. On the way back, Cyan suddenly noticed something surprising. Why did Tao Mei's clothes change back? Could it be that Tao doesn't like the clothes I personally sewed for her? After asking carefully, I found out that when Tao Mei was saying goodbye to her cousin, Cheng Yilan, she gave her that piece of clothing. Her cousin thought, since this garment was sewn by a deity, surely wearing it will improve my cultivation. At the same time, Tao Mei also told the world-honored one, next month will be his sister Xiao Yin's wedding day. At that time, Tao Mei's mother will also attend. He hopes that his master can accompany him to attend Xiao Yin's wedding. Upon hearing this, Si Yen was so excited that he had a nosebleed. The thought of meeting his mother-in-law soon made Si Yen naturally unable to refuse. Meanwhile, on the other side, a woman is cursing angrily that Si Yuan is a filthy scoundrel. She is Cheng Yilan, Tao Mei's cousin. After putting on the dress customized for Tao Mei by Si Yuan, Cheng Yilan is almost fainting from anger. After all, the dress was made to fit Tao Mei's figure. Cheng Yilan's flat chest can't fill it out at all. Then the scene shifts. Upon learning that Tao Mei's dress was given to someone else, Cyan made a new Taoist outfit for Tao Mei overnight. And this time, the outfit is even more embarrassing than the last one. Cyan truly lives up to being a pervert. Such a shameful outfit is not something an average person could design. After changing into the new outfit, Tao Mei went to Cyan's room, intending to trouble her master. However, just as she pushed the door open, but suddenly, she found that second senior brother Bailan was in the master's room, and the two of them seemed to be doing something strange. This really scared the innocent Tao Mei. After all, Bailan is a man. Could it be that Master Cyan actually likes men? This is definitely the most dedicated disciple I've ever seen. Upon learning that her master was lonely and restless because of being single, second disciple Bailan decided to take matters into his own hands. To serve Master Ce well with my body. But I didn't expect that Master Ce wouldn't fall for this at all, because he knows very well that despite Bailan's handsome looks, he is actually a man. And he is a man who likes to wear women's clothing. Isn't that even better? But to be fair, although our honored Cyan is a bit of a pervert, there's nothing wrong with her sexual orientation. Only someone like Tao Mei, with her big chest, fits Cyan's taste. However, just when Cyan and Byran were tangled up in bed, Tao Mei happened to walk by and saw everything. In her innocence, Tao Mei saw the scene and thought the two were just flirting. At this moment, Tao Mei thought, "Master, he can't possibly like men, right?" The scene shifts. Time quickly moves to the next day. With a heavy heart, Tao Mei didn't sleep a wink last night. It seems that yesterday's incident kept him troubled. Meanwhile, Si Yen and Bailan also finally arrived late. Actually, Tao Mei really misunderstood Cyan. These past few days, Cyan has been with Bailan, mainly to help Tao Mei weave a cocoon. However, in Tao Mei's eyes, the two of them were clearly flirting in public. At the same time, Cyan also noticed that Tao Mei seemed a bit off emotionally. He wanted to check on her. But Tao Mei suddenly shouted that Cyan was a pervert. She even directly said he has some strange hobbies. After that, Tao Mei left, covering her blushing face without looking back, leaving Cyan completely confused. As she thought about the strange hobbies Tao Mei mentioned, Cyan couldn't hold it together anymore. Could it be that she found out I peeked at her while she was bathing? Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's keep going inside. The next disciple is even more heavyweight. The two of them looked in the direction pointed by the private message. I unexpectedly found a pretty girl playing the piano by the lake.